Week 7 in the books by Mageddon, kind of complete. Injuries always ongoing, but we're here to find winners after coming off a Sunday winner. It's time for Week 8 Player Profiler Pick Em Hour, starting now. Welcome back to the Player Profiler Pick Em Hour. We are your hosts, Ahaan Rungta and Trevor Tipton, who is coming off another Sunday winner. A little same game piece, two-piece in the Rams-Steelers game. It looks beautiful when we start off the show looking at some green. Trevor, walk us through how your week went.
Good. I mean, went back-to-back, so I like that. I like 2 win weeks in a row. Overall, my week was meh. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. If we're talking just from a betting side, I finished up a couple units for the week, but that's kind of a meh week for me. I'll take it as better than losing, but it was a wild week. I took a lot of crap from a lot of people. If those aren't aware, on Friday night too, I went on one of our DFS shows and talked about, I loved Puka this week, and I thought Puka would get the targets. So, on the big tilt, I talked about it. We obviously made it a play here, and everybody was like, "You're a clown. There's no way. It's Cooper Kupp show." How'd that work out for you at DFS otherwise? For us, it worked good. Note to self, Allen Robinson just is a shell of his former self. If they continue to give us those lines, we will continue to play his unders.
Yeah, and everybody loves a good revenge narrative, but not much revenge going on in this one. Trevor, you've come up with a few winners each of these Sundays now, and you've mastered what I have not been able to do this week, which is pick out the winners to give out on the show. You know this, but if you look at our underdog pick generator picks, everything I put on the underdog pick generator from my side, from the 1 p.m. slate, I think I had 5 picks from the 1 p.m. slate. Yep. Every single pick, green.
Yep.
The thing I gave out on the show, the rivals with Jahan Dotson, less on receptions. It just that's the kind of run I'm on right now. But shout out to you for carrying us, and we're coming off. We could say I'll say we until I start picking out the right.
It's always we.
Yeah, it's us against the people who are trying to give us money, right? So, and if you want to get in on some of these winners, all you have to do is join Underdog Fantasy and play Pick'ems with us. You can join and use promo code Underworld upon entry and take advantage of all kinds of promos going on for football. There's $100K Sundays where Underdog is just giving out cash to people who use the 100K Sunday special. The NBA is now underway. It's my favorite time of the year. We got 4 American pro sports on, and there are lots of promos, and Underdog has a Victor Wembanyama boost today. So you want to get in on this action, and you want to join us on these podcasts/streams. If you're listening on podcast, if you're listening to this episode on podcast, make sure you join us over on the YouTube and Facebook streams. Wednesdays we upload those episodes as podcasts where we talk about the previous week, and we preview Thursday Night Football. We give you a collab entry. But for the meat of the slates, which is Sundays and Mondays, we do a bonus show on Fridays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So you want to join us for those. Trevor, it was quite the week, and honestly, I'm not even going to complain since if you follow some of my bets, and if you follow the stuff I put in the Player Profiler Discord, I actually ended up the week up coin, which was I'm never going to complain when we see that kind of a slate with those quarterbacks, with those teams on bye. I'm never going to complain if we're up coin. Give me at least one huge takeaway that you saw from the Sunday slate.
So I'll go quick on a couple. Right, we see Baltimore continue to. I mean, I did not think Detroit wouldn't show up like that. You obviously heard me with the hot take on the show. I think they missed Monty a lot more than they'll admit. But for me, it was Baltimore continuing to grow in Monkman's offense is huge. Miami's lack of defense is going to crush them in the playoffs. They have one of the best offenses in football. You can see their glaring issues on defense. And let's talk about some fantasy relevance. Is Calvin Ridley still a start? I don't know. I don't know right now. I'm at the point I don't have, we talked about this a little bit. I don't have a massive amount, but I have enough that there's a good chance until they show me otherwise, he's just not getting the targets until and as soon as I sit him, he's going to have, 7 for 165 and 2 TDs. But I just don't know that he's going to get the target share in that offense that I need him to have every week.
Yeah, and we briefly discussed the Calvin Ridley situation last week, and I'm on the train that I still think he's good at football, and he ran into a tough matchup with the Saints. But there's a medium between you shouldn't have picked him in the second round, as a lot of people were, which you shouldn't have picked him there. There are a lot of better picks there, and get him out of the NFL.
That's just lunacy, right? He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. I care about target share, and we're talking about that because one of our plays today evolves around someone continuing to grow in their target share. Like, I care about that. But if you think Calvin Ridley is bad at football, you probably also think the games are scripted and the guys, right? So let's talk about this, guys. All right. We're going to talk about Bijan. We can bring it up. All right. Everybody tilted over Bijan's usage. Okay. I want you guys to think about this. The sports books, this doesn't count. Okay. This doesn't count Prize Picks, Underdog, private bookies that allegedly exist, all these different things. Last month alone, the top 10 states in sports betting handled over $6 billion. The NFL is a $20 billion a year company, and Arthur Smith makes millions of dollars a year. They don't care about your stupid prop.
And reportedly, Arthur Smith's father also has a lot of money, but that's a topic for another day.
That's a whole other conversation. I digress. But it's that's what I think they believe if they believe that. So let's talk about our some of our season longs. Right, your boy Zeke coming up and getting us there. And I'm gonna go just wear the cone of shame in the corner about Darren Waller finishing with 98 yards.
I feel like the season long, the intent of making a season long entry is to have that adrenaline rush of having an entry, open on your active slips, right? On Underdog. And it's about the adrenaline rush of each week, just like regardless of your fantasy teams, regardless of your pick'ems week by week, even if you don't have any exposure to said player, if that said player does something that week, you're like, oh yes, that helps a season long, and it's just a good sweat to have. Darren Waller, though, 77 yards at halftime, finishes with 98 yards. The good, and I brushed over this last week. The good, Tyrod Taylor is spamming him the ball, and I made a tweet, during that Sunday game. The Tyrod Taylor is forcing Darren Waller the ball. He's auto feeding him, and people in the comments are so sensitive to anything that is said about any of their favorite player. Number one, when I say he's force feeding him the ball, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to do to force probably your best player the ball. I know we went off on Darren Waller a couple weeks ago, but he's still the best weapon in that pass catching offense. You can argue maybe Wandale, but he's a slot guy. Whatever. Darren Waller is the reputed guy. He's your number one. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to force feed your top weapon. Number two, I'm not going to get into the argument of Tyrod Taylor versus Daniel Jones with you. I don't care about our season-long entry for that. I care that this man is feeding Darren Waller, who we need 100-yard games from, and I like that, okay? So you little Tyrod Taylor stands who are getting after me for, dissing him that he's force-feeding the ball, I like that, okay? So calm down. We like that he's force-feeding him the ball, but he really should have had 100 yards in that game. That was a wide-open layup, and he missed it. It is what it is. We'll have a few more chances to do that, and presumably with Tyrod Taylor quarterback, we'll have a better chance of that. So we like that.
Yeah, I don't think DJ is coming back anytime soon from stuff I'm reading. I think his neck's a lot bigger issue that the Giants are leading on. I think it's going to be the Tyrod show, and I wish Jones would have targeted him the way they had. Right? One of our listeners just brought up. I agree. Use Waller and Hyatt. Listen, Jalen Hyatt can play. He is the field. He's a field stretcher. You got Wandale coming out of the slot. They have. It's why I invested them in best ball in season long. Like, I have a lot of exposure to this offense, and I have a lot of exposure to Waller and Hyatt. So I would love for them to do it. And here's what happens. Good things happen when you throw your best receiver on the field the ball.
Jerry Jones, if you're in the chat, hope you have that unmuted. Speaking of season long, so DK Metcalf didn't play. Not overly worried about him yet. He rarely misses games. Christian Watson cannot catch a break to save his life. This is a player who, per snap, if you look at the efficiency metrics, you look at the yards per route run, yards per snap even, this is one of the most efficient per snap receivers of our generation, and that is just a fact. He's in the 99th or 98th or better percentile amongst receivers over the last 10 years in pretty much any efficiency metric you can find. He commands targets because he's always open. He makes the big plays, and he's almost matchup proof, although Patrick Surtain did make him did contain him a little bit, but part of that was Jordan Love is just not good at football yet, and whether that will happen or not, it is what it is. And by the way, Jordan Love still finished as the QB 13 fantasy-wise on the week, right? So we can't equate skill at football to fantasy finishes. It's just not the right thing to do. But Jordan Love throwing him hospital balls. It's why Luke Musgrave has gotten hurt multiple times. Christian Watson cannot catch a break. Now it's a hamstring. If this man plays 10 games in a season, he's going to get these 6 touchdowns. But that's what we're banking on right now. It is.
We need him to play. So it's and I'm not worried about Monty. Monty's going to fall the end zone as soon as he's back in a week or two. Monty's done. Like, unless Monty doesn't play the rest of the season, we're on cruise control there.
Zeke also giving us some hope as well. Just as soon as I gave up on him, he pulls me right back in. 2 touchdowns. This time Ramondre played, and Zeke still found the end zone with a little direct snap job. It was a weird week all around, but we made some progress on the season long. Another just takeaway I had since you brushed on it was the Eagles versus Dolphins, and I said this for those of you baseball fans out there. Before the MLB playoffs started, I said 2 teams that I see a lot of parallels between: the Atlanta Braves and the Miami Dolphins. Insane offenses, top to bottom. It seems like you can't stop them. And then the other side of the ball, their obvious deficiencies for the Braves, it was their pitching, but actually their offense also didn't show up, when it mattered the most. And it feels like the Dolphins are much of the same. And we saw that their offense didn't look amazing against the Eagles, despite the Eagles maybe not having the best secondary this year. They just don't. But Tua Tagovailoa was just exposed in a couple of spots, and that's why I feel like the Dolphins aren't serious contenders just yet, because people say I'm biased as a Patriots fan, but I mean, that game was an example of why I think the Dolphins aren't quite serious contenders yet. But enough of the pillow talk about these random offenses. It's time to find some winners for Week 8. As usual, on Wednesdays, we find you winners for the Thursday Night Football. We have a few of these collab entry winners down pat, but we're going to discuss everything Bucks, everything Bills in a moment. But right before we do that, let's hear a quick word from the Podfather.
Now, as we at Player Profiler have become a full-blown machine learning company, the crowning achievement has to be the injury finder. We're now taking BMI data and injury history data and assigning a probability that a player is injured on any given touch. And not only can you see a player's fragility rating, their injury risk, we also have analysis from professional physical therapists breaking down all the major players that underwent surgery last year and what their rehabilitation looks like heading into 2023. There's a tool to compare players. There's a database where you can say, show me all the foot injuries, show me all the severe injuries, show me all the injuries requiring surgery. It provides you the key market intelligence to know what is the difference in probability that player X versus player Y will miss games this year. It's great for fantasy football, and it also just satisfies your curiosity as a fan. Go to the App Store, go to Google Play, download it. It's $5 every year just to reload the latest injury predictions and fragility ratings. The 2023 data is live now. Open your phone and get smarter.
We are back on the Player Profiler Pick Em Hour, where we are about to talk about Week 8, Thursday night football between the Bucs and the Bills. You can tailor our plays on Underdog Fantasy using promo code Underworld, and join us on streams Wednesdays and Fridays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Friday we do the bonus shows. Let's talk Week 8 Thursday night football, and if you are on stream, you're able to see that on Underdog, there's promos going on. Tonight, it's the first full slate of the NBA. You can get in on this Victor Wembanyama booster right after the show. I'm probably going to head over to the Player Profiler Discord after I make an NBA entry and share what I've got so you can tell me, or you can make your own entry. But we're here to give you some winners for Thursday night football, Bucs-Bills. Quick bird's eye view of this game. The Bills have not been playing well recently. They're coming off one of the crazier upsets of the year, almost double-digit favorites against the Patriots in Week 7. They lose outright, and it feels like all year long I've been pushing this narrative that the Bills might be frauds this year, and it looks like the last few weeks that's looked like a pretty good take, but this may be the time to buy right back into the Bills. Despite their struggles recently, they are 8.5, 9 point in some spot favorites at home against Baker Mayfield and his Bucs. So, Trevor, get us started. What are the key things you're looking at into this game? How are we approaching this game?
So interesting to me right out of the gate is if you look at the Vegas lines, the Bills have a 26.5 team total and the Bucs have a 16.5. I did not expect to see that this week. As you just talked about, this is an interesting spot for me. This is one of the games that I want, like, if Buffalo doesn't, I kind of said it last week, Miami, this is a test for Buffalo. I expect them to show up and like show out here. And if they don't, that's it's going to be a really big red flag. So it's really good. So, interesting spot here tonight. So it's there. I just don't get it. I just don't understand that 16.5 line for Tampa. That's what they think. So we're going to play around with it. So where are we going to go? If anybody follows me, if anybody knows anything about me, they know I am a Dalton Kincade stan. This is a Dalton Kincade fan account. I think he has tons of upside. I loved his landing spot. I am all over him. I've been all over him. And what we're starting to see is, and you see it with a lot of tight end rookies, he's really getting down the blocking scheme now. There's never been an issue. Can he catch? Can he run routes? Can he also help block, which they use Dawson Knox a ton for, right? Mr. Brickhands himself, which is great for our Kincaid over today, which we're going with over higher than 4 receptions. Why are we going with this? So we saw last week versus New England, 8 out of 8 targets. He had 8 targets, 8 receptions. He continues to be an increased role. Here are things that I really, really like. He's now lining up outside in a wide receiver position 25% of the time. He's in the slot 52%. So, right, they're going to run him in line the rest. But, we got a 77% that he's either in a wide receiver position or in the actual slot. I love that. He has a league-leading 96.2% catch rate for tight ends. And don't come at me later and say, oh, hey, this guy who's 2 for 2 is 100%. Go away. I'm talking about like actual tight ends that play every week. So that's really, really important to me. A big one is last week versus New England, he had a 20.8% first read. So Josh is getting more comfortable with him. He's starting to give him more first reads. The offense is also calling more plays for him. Those are things I want to see in a player. Now, Tampa Bay is tied with the Vikings for running the lowest rate of man in the NFL. They run zone and zone and zone. All right. This is going to allow for targets, in that soft zone. Dalton Kincade has 100% catch rate versus zone this year. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Kincaid has 100% catch rate versus zone. His competitor for targets from that position right now, Mr. Dawson Knox, dropped 2 touchdowns. Coaches are watching that. They drafted him where they did for a reason. And now we're going to add in Tampa Bay blitzes out of that zone at the 3rd highest rate in the league. So we know they're going to bring pressure. We know they're going to blitz Allen. They're going to have a spy on Allen. I think we're going to see a lot of quick out routes, quick slants, and then seams over the middle for Kincaid this week. This line is currently juiced up at 3.5. It's like minus 175, 180 at traditional sports books. This is going to close at 4.5. There, in my mind, this is, if you're listening to this an hour before the game tomorrow, you're probably not going to be able to get this at 4. So at a 4, we push 5 receptions, we win. I love Kincaid to get over 4 receptions this week.
Absolutely love it. This was the year that I was all over the you can't be just automatically fading rookie tight ends narrative. And actually, my guy of the year was Sam Laporta, looking pretty good right now. Also, Luke Musgrave. That makes me cry a little bit. But Michael Mayer, coming out,
rising from the ashes, getting used finally.
From the ashes a little bit. Had Brian Hoyer thrown to him, in week 7, but don't sleep on Michael Mayer's rise and Dalton Kincade, right? This is his opportunity under the bright lights. No Dawson Knox to deal with. This is it. And I love that we're going with the receptions, right? I was on the same page with you on this. I kind of like the receiving yards, but I really like the receptions. The receiving yards on books opened at 33.5. On Pick 'em, it opened at 37.5, and now it's at 41.5. So, I feel like game script independent. We can get 5 catches out of him, and even if they're just check downs, right down the middle, go get us 2 yards for a first down kind of plays, right? And those plays hurt the receiving yards, but they don't hurt the receptions because, we're going after purely the volume here. So I love that we're going that route. And like you said, I think this closes at 4.5. And if you get it at 4 and he finishes with exactly 4, well, guess what? We're not graded as a loss. The payout on our 2 pick will just go down a little, but we're not losing. So we get that insurance as well. I'm going to pair it with something on the Bucs. We got to pair it with something on the other team, and just not too much scrolling here. I'm going to stick with good old reliable Mr. Rashad White. Now, on Player Profiler shows, we've heard a lot of hot takes about Rashad White, about how good this man actually is. But here's something that's kind of undebatable: is what he does is catch passes. When I was in charge of Breakout Finder ratings, in Rashad White's rookie year, I noticed that he had the highest receiver rating of all time. Highest receiver rating since we started tracking receiver ratings in the NFL. This guy has a pass catching profile from college that he's carried over to the NFL, and we're seeing it over the last few weeks. Rashad White has 3+ targets in every game since week 2. And over this receiving yards line that we're taking, this higher than 21.5 receiving yards line in 4 out of 5 of those games in that span. His route participation in the losses, which it looks like it might be here, 78%, a season high against Philly, and then 55%, and then 67% is the second highest. Makes sense. When the Bucs are down, you're going to have to drop back and pass the ball a little bit and take the easy ones with Rashad White. And this usage, it's not a coincidence. Baker last year on a different offense ranked number 1 in check down rate. This guy's a perennial check down merchant. He people give Baker the MO that he likes to take the risky deep shots. He also quietly just ranks number 1 in check down rate, last year. So he will take the easy ones when he gets them, and the Buffalo Bills, perfect matchup for it. They rank number 5 in pressure rate, and they've allowed the 7th most targets and 9th most receptions to running backs, and also the 5th highest yards per reception. So once they allow those checkdowns to running backs, it's not like they're eager to tackle them behind the line of scrimmage either. So we like Rashad White this week, over 21.5 receiving yards. And it's, he in a couple of these games where he's hit this higher, He's actually hovered around the 22 to 25 range, so I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow before game time, this is up near the 24.5 range. So I like that we're getting this now. Half a unit, let's lock in our 2-pick. Dalton Kincade higher than 4 receptions and Rashad White higher than 21.5 receiving yards.
Like it. Yeah, I mean, the guy's only missed 1 catch all year, right? He has 22 receptions on 23 targets, and that's why they're not giving us his receptions. Right. So they know this. And again, his yards is there. The reasons you listed, especially that pressure, right? Buffalo's going to have that pressure. Baker loves to check down. I think this is a great spot for White.
Yeah, and they mix in a lot of man and zone, so it's not like you don't want to target when they play. You don't want to, no pun intended. You don't want to target the running back receptions when you play a lot of man, because just not conducive to that. But the Bills, they kind of mix in man and zone a lot. The opportunity should be there. Give us 4 catches, and I think we have this easily. I think it's key too here that a lot of times, especially with these weird primetime games, it seems like 90% of primetime games are just weird, and you can expect the unexpected. But it's key here that this game script, I think, is going to be really negative for the Bucs, because, like you said, it really doesn't make all that much sense, given how the Bills are playing. They're 9-point favorites, but it seems like the books are giving respect to the Bills here. And it's probably for good reason, because they're probably winning this game, playing from ahead, a bounce-back spot for Josh Allen. So I think there's a very, very high likelihood that, no matter which way this game goes spread-wise, we're getting the Bucs gonna drop back and pass a lot, having to play from behind. So I like that there.
Yep, I like it. So let's start the streak on the Thursday show, and we'll try to keep the streak alive on Fridays.
Yeah, so that was our 2-pick. Once again, Dalton Kincade higher than 4 receptions, Rashad White higher than 21.5 receiving yards. It's been a couple of weeks since we found a Thursday Night Football winner together, but the reads have been there pretty much every week. Trevor's picking out winners on Sundays and giving them out on the show like a good man. And I am picking out some, the losers that I find. I'm picking them out, but eventually I'm going to get hot on Sundays as well. But when we come together on Thursdays, we've been mostly dialed in, right? And one of those losses was just Luke Musgrave getting hurt. No funny business. Nobody get hurt this time. Just give us give us those, the receiving yards and the receptions. We'll be back on the stream for the bonus show, so not on podcast form, but on stream on YouTube and Facebook for the Player Profiler Pick and Power Hour bonus show for Week 8 to talk about all of the Sunday and Monday slate. And in the meantime, we're going to drop right after Thursday Night Football, or the next morning, we're going to drop early leans for the Sunday, Monday slate on the Player Profiler Pick 'em generator under the DFS Dominator on the site. So go get that package as well, and join us in the Player Profiler Discord for some pick 'em throughout the week. And come back and join us on the show on Friday. And then if you want to talk some betting as well, head over to the Juice on Friday night. But until then, let's hope we found you another Thursday Night Football winner. Good luck on your Week 8 bets. We'll see you on Friday.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.